you. Okay, just for everybody's information, we are now recording because there's a whole bunch of people that said, oh, I totally would love to come, but I can't at that time. So, hello, Miss Amy. So, today's brainstorming was one, I get to see your amazing, fabulous faces. So that makes me feel good to see people. Oh, but it's also been good to on Facebook to see the fabulous things you've been doing. Facebook, if you'll see my green dot lit up a lot because I spend lots of times, hi Pam, checking out what's going on. And I am just like over the moon impressed with the creativity, the ingenuity, the amazing things that you all have all done. And so I'd like to start today's little brainstorming where if each person just takes a minute and think about what awesome redeeming thing have you found that really worked well. Because I think everybody probably doesn't have the luxury that I do where I'm on so many people's different church Facebook pages and I can see the fabulous things that you're doing. Like maybe you all didn't know about Ashley's woo-woo children's messages that she does. And so now I just told you. So, so if we kind of just think of something, even if it's a small little everyday, like, oh, that was a little technical thing that I did slightly different and it really worked well. Other people can hear your good idea and what has worked. Hi, is that Crystal? That's my own Rachel Held Evans right there, Crystal. Every time I see her, I think of Rachel. I know. Anyway, so anyway, everybody, if you just take a minute and think of what has super worked with virtual VBS, with porch visits, with maybe a phone call. What did you do that you could just share that somebody could go and write down and think is awesome? So the way I'm going to know that you're ready to share is if you can just do your do a little wave or a thumbs up with the little icon down there, and then I'll just shout out your name and then you share. But unmute yourself and share. Is that cool? Okay, come on, brilliant, talented brainstorming. You can let it go. Is Miss Cindy ready to go? Cindy and then Michelle will do. Cindy, unmute. Do you want me to unmute you? Okay.
I did. It's a minor miracle if I do anything technical. Everybody. Well, I'm Cindy Burns, and I work at Pulaski Heights United Methodist Church with Christy Finney, who's also on this call. And one thing that we did, and I might have already shared this, but it has meant so much. When all this started, we took the list of all of our children, babies through fifth graders at the time. And because there are three of us on a team together who work in children's ministries here, we took the list of all the children, babies through fifth graders, and divided them into three groups. And we committed each, Kathy, Christy, and I, to pray regularly for each child by name. And then on most Mondays around VBS, we didn't because we were so busy. We did a at-home VBS, but we try every Monday or at the beginning of each week to send, we just each take turns writing a devotion or a Bible story. And we just say, we're praying for you by name. And I mean, for me personally, not seeing our children very much, it has meant the world to me to just say their names over and over. And then we rotate each week. So at the end of 3 weeks, we've had the blessing and joy of praying for each child by name.
Oh, nice job, Cindy. Thank you for sharing. And Michelle?
We did a thing, I don't know if some of you may have seen this already on social media, a thing called Takeout Church, where I had these boxes and we took them to the kids' houses. And y'all, oh my gosh, those kids, they were like run up and just, they want to hug you. And I'm going, oh, stay back, you know, but they did, they were overwhelmed with, you know, us coming to them and delivering those boxes. I had my mask on, of course, and we did it at a distance, but had all kinds of things in there like Skittles, prayers, and a flat.
You did it to 70 kids. 70.
Yeah, 70 kids. It took a while, but it was a lot of fun. And honestly, it was from the list of VBS kids that we had, which what was cool about that is about half of those were non-members. And several of the families that I stopped and at their houses, they were like, we really have been looking for a church, and now we found one because you have done a great job at like coming and like connecting with us. And I'm like, yes. So, it was like awesome. So yeah, I was excited about that. So I got some news when we get back to worship and in person. I'm excited about it. So yeah.
Awesome, Michelle. Thank you. And I love that you safely did your in-person, and that was so important. Okay, and Tammy is next. Oops.
I didn't know if my hand raising thing worked.
Yeah, I could see it.
I'm really excited because we've always done chapel for the kids for the Child Development Center across the street. When the kids would come over and have chapel with us, it's a really part of our teaching and what we do midweek. And we obviously haven't been able to do it, but so today we found out that that we get to we're actually using some of our old technology from the church, and we're able to I'm making iMovies, and so I'm partnering with a music person. We are making all these different video snippets and then putting them together into an iMovie, and then we are transforming the file into a format that they can use. We're putting it on a thumb drive on an old laptop, and we are like handing it over to the Child Development Center, and then they are gonna, the teachers can use it in the classroom because they don't have any technology. So they're able to like share that and pass that laptop.
In the Child Care Center.
So we have like 7 classrooms that are gonna get to experience and get to have the full chapel experience. So then I can include, like, each classroom gets a box with like, you have your own battery candle. So someone in your, we usually do, if it's your birthday, you get to light the candle, and then you get to turn on the candle today. You get to like, so the box has some material to go with it, but we're super excited because we just didn't know if there was any way. I can't physically go there and they can't physically come to me. So it's just this huge blessing that we have technology that we can do this. And we also have some, like, we just have this old laptop that we're not even using. So the fact that we could offer this experience is really incredible. So we're super excited about it.
Awesome. Thank you, Tammy. That's so good. And the Child Care Center was a huge part of her VBS in the past too. So it's so good that you can touch base with
Right. So we didn't get to have any of our kids in VBS this year, obviously. So like, we're missing everybody so much. So this is a great connection point for us.
Awesome. Thank you. Okay. Who else has a fabulous share? Please don't be shy, because we all learn from these fabulous ideas. Oh, okay. Yes. Is it Cheryl? Hold on. Let me unmute you. I unmuted. There you go. Okay. Tell us what church you're at.
I'm at First United Methodist in Texarkana, Arkansas.
Yes.
And so one of the things that we did during VBS, of course, it was virtual this year, but one of the things that the kids really enjoyed and that was a blessing, I think, to them was each day we had a mission project for the kids to do. They wrote thank you cards to first responders, and they would deliver those or mail. They could drop them off at a fire station, or you know, they could mail them to the hospital. They the last day was to take food to Harvest Texarkana, and they dropped that off. They would take a picture and post it on our Facebook page, and that was something they really enjoyed because they felt like they were helping.
That is lovely. I love how you included the first responders. Nice. And what would you say was the overall, like, was there a big, like, would you say 20 kids did it? Would you say 5 kids, like, or was it like whole families, or?
Well, there was a sort of some groups of kids that did it, but I'd say probably about 5.
20. Nice. Good deal. Thank you. Who else has a good share? Nobody's expert. Everybody's just getting good ideas from other people. So. Yeah.
I'll go, Melinda. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, Krista.
Okay. One thing I did, and it's not biblically based or whatever, but it was probably my biggest thing so far is we did a version of Nailed It, that Netflix cooking show.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
we gathered up
I
all
saw that on your Facebook with the Oreo cookies
Yeah.
fried and stuff. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
gathered up all the ingredients. Every kid had all the ingredients dropped off at their front door. So
You did a porch visit.
Yep, no one had to do anything. They got on Facebook Live and cooked with me, and then we all just showed our things, decide if we nailed it or not. And it was, I couldn't believe it because people were emailing the church, asking me if they could participate, sending me addresses of their neighbors. So some people had their whole neighborhood come out and do it together. And they were just looking for something to do. They didn't want to learn. They didn't want to be on Zoom.
Yeah.
They just wanted to have fun.
Yeah.
And even our church members have called and said, I have an idea for Shark Week. Can I do the next Nailed It? So the grown-ups are all jumping on board and they want to lead the kids next time. And it was just oddly something that hundreds of people hopped on board with. It was strange, but I was so excited.
That is awesome.
Fun.
Now, just to correct you, that is biblical because you are creating connection between each other, and that's
true.
Biblical.
I take that back. It did go with our Sunday school lesson from the previous day. We did sheep and goats, and we did make sheep. So you're right.
No, it's just they were connecting
I read
with
the
one
Bible
another.
story as we were cooking. So yes, it was.
That's great. Anybody have questions for her for Nailed It? About
I don't have a question, but one of my friends at RAL at UMC in Texas gave us the idea to do the Nailed It, but they turned it into a fundraiser. What they do is everybody gets to show their stuff on Facebook, and the church members have actually bid on what they've made.
Oh my gosh.
All of it goes to, they decide ahead of time which charity is going to be the recipient of the auction item. So they've turned Nailed It into a fundraiser.
That is awesome.
That's one of the things we have on our calendar.
That is awesome. Thank you. Who else has a super creativeness? Yes, Miss
I
Ann?
wanted to share, and it's not so creative, but I dropped off all of our vacation Bible school packets, so they'd have the crafts and the different things for the week. And it was such a blessing to me to be able to see the kids and spend a minute and talk to mom and dad. And I was surprised how many whole families would come out on the porch and talk and things. And it seemed like everyone, when the kids would start to play or whatever, the parents really shared, struggles of going back to school or just not being able to really worship because there's just so much noise in their brain, chaos, and so much going on in the news. It's just hard to sit and come to prayer time and sit in God's presence. So anyway, it was just really dear to be able to speak with them. And so because of that, in August, I'm doing a 4-part series on different ways to pray. Mm-hmm. And I'm using our Beyond information that we got with Praying in Color. And then I've got a message into Karen Reeves to see if she'd help us with one of them. And so
she will.
I'm really excited about all of that stuff. So anyway, it was just a really special time for me.
Yes. And I think the key is that you were there to listen. You were the hands and feet of Jesus at that time. And that's exactly what they needed. So that's why it worked so well. Who else wants, anybody else have something that's super working for you this summer? Yes, Miss Pam. Oh, sorry, Megan and then Pam. We'll do Megan and Pam. Yeah, Megan, go.
Okay.
Go.
So before all the COVID-iness, we did not have a children's moment during our church service. Pastor choice. But during COVID, we've started doing that because, children don't have class anymore, and it's a way for us to kind of check in. And so we talked the administration into letting us have a few minutes, during each recorded time for a children's moment. And Ashley really kind of sparked that joy. So thank you, Ashley, for that. But we have gotten so much positive feedback from other church members, like during service, like they'll jump on and I love this message and thank you so much for this.
Yay.
And I get so much out of it. And so we're hoping that will help, maybe when we do get back to bridge that into our more traditional worship services. And so that's been exciting just to see how much the whole congregation has been excited by that time. So
that is nice.
Fun.
So, and you look at there, if you hadn't have done it online, you wouldn't have had that. Like, I have documented feedback that this really worked. And the other way I always think of a children's moment or children's time is you're teeing up the sermon or you're teeing up the scripture. You're getting it, you're priming everybody, not just the kids. You're putting it in the kids' perspective, but you're teeing up. So that you're benefiting whoever is giving the sermon as well. So that is very much a gift. All right, Miss Pam. Thanks, Megan.
Yeah, I was going to tell you, we did our vacation Bible school was called camp, and we actually put together boxes, just like a lot of people did, and we took them to the families. But we decided to put enough materials in there for the whole family instead of just for the children. And then our Sunday school teachers all have children across the age level. So we invited them to teach with their families, which was really fun. So someone would teach at their kitchen table with their whole family present, which was provided lots of opportunities for dads to do some painting and some of the younger siblings to do some things with their older brothers and sisters, and the videos were hilarious but really fun. And so we had a much larger participation because we invited dads and moms and older brothers and sisters. So it was a neat experience, and we'll probably continue it with our Sunday school in the fall as well to try to make sure we include a little extra so that everybody can participate.
Nice. I also noticed on yours, when I would click on yours, that you had your different members at teaching, like a whole family, a mom and a dad were teaching the VBS lesson that they recorded and submitted, which I think that gets everybody bought into it as well. So nice job. Thank you. Did you find that was a really positive buy-in too, by asking the whole family to teach?
Yeah, that was, when parents saw other parents doing creative stuff, and the kids said, hey, there's enough in here, you paint too. And so it brought in a lot of, once they saw some dads doing some stuff, it was hard for them to say, no, I don't want to do that.
Awesome.
Yeah, we had a great response, and I think a lot more people watched the videos when they knew that some of the mid-youth were in the videos, so we got a lot more, probably a lot more people participating just so they could watch each other.
Okay, awesome. All right, who else has more to share? We have about 10 more minutes, and then we'll transition to questions about the fall. So does anybody else have fabulous things? I can call on people because I know a bunch of you have some good stuff. Christy Wicks or Christy Park. I have a friend in Iowa, Christy Wicks, and so I always want to call Christy Park, Christy Wicks. Christy Park, share with your SOS. Especially the squirter stuff. You're muted. Hold on. All right, go.
Now?
Yes, now.
Hello?
Talk.
Okay.
Talk now.
Hey. Yeah, we just finished our 5-week SOS, which was summer on Sundays. And we changed it up each week. Of course, the kids would drive through and get a packet, Bible story, activity, craft. But when they would drive through, we would have a different theme, and it had the drive-through thing decorated. We did a luau one Sunday, and I had a couple of the youth squirt the cars with those water blasters as they would drive by. The kids loved that. We had golly, what else? I was drained after Sunday. It was so hot. Every one of those Sundays we were melting. But anyhow,
but you looked good. You
The
looked
snow
good.
cone truck.
Oh
I had a
yeah.
snow cone truck come and had free snow cones for the kids. Because I had a VBS budget that we were able to, still use a little money out of. So that's what I did. And then we just took turns. I have about 12 volunteers year round, and we just all took, a couple of us took a Sunday and wore our mask and did our distance. And the last Sunday we did Christmas in July and left it as, we're hoping we'll get back in tune by Christmas. And then we're just kind of brainstorming to come up with some fall stuff. But we had a good time. We had a great turnout. We
Well,
had
how
as
many-
many as 25 kids come through one Sunday, which was the 4th of July weekend. How
Wow.
crazy is that?
Crazy.
And then the lowest we had was like 8 or 10 one Sunday. So, we did it 5 Sundays. We'd go to the church at 6. People would drive through. By 6:40, everybody had already driven through, and we were going back home. So, but we connected with the kids. The kids sent pictures as the week went through. So each week they had a different adventure. So like the first week they painted rocks, and they brought those to the bell tower at the church and left them at the base of the bell tower. So they're still there. Another week I had each of the leaders send me pictures, just random selfies. And then I went and put them in the windows
this is good.
at the church, upstairs, downstairs, all over the place. And a lot of the people were like, dang, we didn't even realize there was a window there, So they would have to go around and find. I had 25 pictures, put some in the church van. So they had to find the pictures in the church van. We did a scavenger hunt. That was probably the least participation was the scavenger hunt, which I was surprised because they would win a $25 pizza card. But they didn't really, I only had one kid find all 25 of the things. And they were random. They weren't hard to do. But anyway. And what else? I forgot what else we had. Scavenger hunt, the hide and seek, the painted rock. I don't remember. There was something else, but I don't remember.
That was awesome.
It was fun. The kids loved it. The parents were thrilled, and everybody's ready to get back to normal and coming to church. That was the thing. Y'all come to church, even though it's not normal. Just come.
Right. Love it. Yeah, those are all good ideas that could easily be tweaked. To anybody's needs.
And I mean, credit goes to Pinterest and other ideas from. I know Cersei. I don't know if Amy Nast is on here, but.
Amy Coleman.
Amy,
Amy Coleman. Well, because it's her maiden name. It's because of Facebook.
Yeah.
Facebook messes you up with their maiden name, and then
She's been great to follow too and get ideas.
Yeah.
I don't know if she's on here, but she deserves a lot of credit too.
Awesome. Thank you, Christy.
Thank you.
Miss Darlene, do you have anything to share? Darlene Gates? Darlene, what's going on up there in Cabot? What do you got going on?
Well, today I'm in Bentonville, actually.
Oh.
Seeing 2 little grandbabies is what I'm doing.
Nice. Very good.
I'm late, so I'm not sure what I'll talk about. Tell a little bit of what you've done this summer.
Well, what was a success that someone could say, ooh, I'm going to write that down and use that for fall? What was and it could be an administrative kind of thing, with how you contacted somebody or how you put something out there. It doesn't have to be a large programming idea.
The things that we've done that were like scavenger hunts, that has been, I know Christy just said hers, she did not have success at that, but that's when we have gotten those have been the most well attended. We did one. It was they went around and they went different places within the community and they prayed at a nursing home, prayed at the school, prayed at the fire department, all around town. The families enjoyed
That's a good.
And then our VBS was just a one afternoon. They had clues that they had to go find, and then they went to about 8 different places, I guess, and we had familiar faces, people that usually teach. they were stationed at all of these places. And they had an item that went along with the story. And so they picked that item up. So both of those, they have, they have enjoyed that.
I love it. The family, like they're just doing stuff together as a family. That is so awesome. And you're setting up such good practice for future faith formation. So awesome. Okay. In the sense of time, we're at 2:26. Does anybody else have a big pressing thing that they would like to share? Otherwise, we'll transition to questions at all. Does anybody have any other creative, awesome business they want to share?
This is Lisa Oden in El Dorado, and sorry about
hi,
the
Lisa.
connection. My suggestions would be, because COVID has forced us to be online so much, there's two tools that I used that were helpful for me. One was Camtasia.
What?
And
say it again.
Camtasia, Camtasia. It's a software.
Okay.
And it's $150. It's not cheap, but it can make any video look professional. You can do your, it does the opening for you and things like that. It just makes a person that's not video or
savvy. It's not your gift. Yeah.
It really is helpful. So if anybody is interested in that, Camtasia is a good tool to use. And the other one that I've used is Screencast-O-Matic.
Okay.
And it's been useful because if I found something on a website or something and I never want to share a YouTube link or anything like that because you can't control the ads or anything like that. This you can use and record just the part of the video that you want, and then you can download it to Google Drive or whatever, but it makes it really easy to edit a video so that way you're not sending children to live links.
Love it. And that is some good little behind the scenes info we need too. Thank you, Lisa.
Those are just, I've learned a lot. Screencast-O-Matic, and it's $50 and it's very doable, but I love it so that I can send videos and things to the students without them having to go to YouTube or Vimeo or any of those where you don't know what will pop up.
Yeah, because they could watch what you have, and then if you're not on a challenge, or
exactly.
Awesome. Rose, did you have something, or are you just saying good job, Lisa?
No, we're using a program that I purchased that was only $9.99.
Yeah.
Called the Movie Maker Pro.
Movie Maker.
One of the things that I've been doing with our Sunday school is I've been recording our Sunday school lesson. And yes, we're using YouTube, but if you put on there that it's made for children, and if you do it unlisted, so only the people link, then it doesn't get, then you don't end up with all the ads and stuff the kids shouldn't see. But one of the things that I've liked about the HD Movie Maker, and I do it for my children and youth, is we created a green screen studio in our children's area.
Fun.
We'll use it when we can get back together, and it has a green screen thing that's really, really easy to use. So
where did you purchase your green screen?
We actually colored a bulletin board and we painted it a lime green.
Yeah, I think you can use a green sheet too. Like,
you can use a green sheet.
Yeah,
but we already had the bulletin board painted.
Yeah,
and then we just extended it down to the floor, so we have a wall-to-wall green screen. And so every week I change the background, and one of my youth finally realized what I was doing and said, "Can you put anything up?" And I said, "Yes." And she goes, "Next week, would you put yourself in Shrek's swamp?"
Oh my God.
We did a Sunday school lesson from Shrek's swamp.
So they were more engaged because they were able to suggest to you, and so they wanted to see what you were doing.
Yeah, and now my little kids are excited because they know when we finally do get to come back together that we've revamped it, that we're actually going to do Bible videos that we're going to produce so that we can present it and put it out there for anybody else who wants to see our videos.
Nice.
Kids are excited about doing drama.
Yeah, well, I love drama. That's my favorite. So thank you, Rose. That's awesome. Okay, so I'm going to attempt to share screen. And when I do, hopefully I'll be able to post. And there's Miss Amy. We've emailed lots and lots, and now I get to see your face. Hi, Amy. She's on vacation right now. Okay, I'm going to share. And so I hopefully that you all had a chance, your children's district reps were supposed to push out, in case you're not on Facebook, we're supposed to push out the link from yesterday from the bishop and the task force's plans for the recommendations for fall. So let me try and switch the screen here. Okay. All right. There's my agenda. Let me see if I can scroll down. Okay. So can you see here are the recommendations. So I'm just posting them in case you have or have not got to read them all. Hopefully you did, and maybe that was some of your motivation in coming to today. And the reason the reason I posted like, let's have brainstorm is because you all do such a phenomenal job, and you've thought outside the box. You have let the Holy Spirit guide you in the best way to reach out to your families. And you might be getting a little tired, like, whew, now we're switching gears, and how do we do fall? And so hopefully you can take all these fabulous ideas that people have shared and kind of go, well, I could adapt that to this for my programming for the fall, and this could work at my church. You do not have to reinvent the wheel. Like, I am all about sharing people's good ideas and fabulous. And if you follow us on Facebook, that's pretty what I do so much of, is like, oh, this is a good idea. So here's this might work for your church. Here's this idea. So I invited, just because I am not an expert on all the technical and things, I invited Michelle Moore, who is our youth ministry and call director here for the conference. But in this invitation, I invited her as our task force representative. She is on the Arkansas. So they've recommended each church to create a task force for your opening and guidelines and how you would go about it in your church. Michelle is that for the conference. She is on our task force for the conference. And so she is gifted in explaining so much of this. So thank you, Michelle, for your time and coming on to this call. I really appreciate it.
Sure.
So does anybody do you have questions, need clarification? Because you literally have access to a task force person now that could help. Was it all like, yep, this is what we expected? Where are your hearts? Where were your minds? And what questions do you have?
I have a question for you, Michelle.
Okay. Hi, Rose.
How are you, Michelle? In reading the guidelines, of course, because I read both the children and the youth, but I also read what was the other one? The in-person ministry stuff. Okay. Why is feeding the youth so much different than children and in-person?
So in-person campus ministry is different because, one, they are going to be living on campus, sharing meals in the cafeteria and other locations. And so there's a little bit more leeway on theirs because most of our campus ministries like truly revolve around feeding students in terms of that's how they get them in the building. And so we didn't want to completely eliminate that. We want them to just be safer about that piece. The children's piece was, the input from the task force was more along the lines of that smaller children tend to like to share and not understand the concept of just because you have goldfish and I have Cheez-Its, we can't just swap or share.
Yeah.
And so we recognize that teenagers like to share food too, but we also recognize that when you say, don't get off your blanket, don't take each other's food, etc., it's a little bit more understandable than for children. So that's kind of where that came from. I, I have, and this wasn't in the revised piece, and Amy and I could work on this, I think, to clarify. But I know that some youth workers have asked for clarification, like if they could provide prepackaged food where, the youth touch it, like an ice cream sandwich or something like that. And I know that some are doing that in general. And so I think that would be acceptable along those lines in that same manner. The biggest piece is, don't serve buffets. We're not doing potlucks. Especially with children, it all needs to be the same, which is why we went from the whole bring your own snack to provide something so that it's all the same. You're not having to fight about who has, the red juice box versus the blue, all that kind of stuff. And with teenagers, we know part of that too was also knowing that you have a very limited amount of time with children because of attention spans, and if you're going to meet indoors, you don't want to spend half of that doing the snack time piece. And so we were trying to make it to where, it's very easy to say, if you need a snack because that keeps kids occupied, that's great. But we don't want that to be the thing that you focus the most on and also use as the means to get there. Does that make sense? Like, I mean, we know that kids snack all the time and they would always be there, but kids aren't going to show up because you tell them that you're going to give them goldfish the same way that when you feed, high school kids.
Exactly.
So that's where that is.
Okay. All right. That makes sense put that way.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed funny that you could have box lunches for in campus and you could have individual snacks for the children, but the youth had to bring their own. That was just
and
my mind.
We can look at that in our next task force meeting and see if everybody would be okay to just adjust to read the same way in the prepackaged piece for youth, because I do think that has people have figured out that that's a way that they've kind of gotten around that without it being too complicated. And so, and again, you all know, I mean, we're not trying to make this difficult and we're not trying to put so many things in place that you can't, but we also recognize that there are some who are going to do whatever they want. And so if you're going to do whatever you want, we'd at least like to give you some guidance as to how to start in that place to be safe. And so, so that's kind of where I've kept hearing, well, we got around that with, and so if that's what you're going to do, then let's just make sure we have guidelines for how we do that safely. I'm not saying you're the one going around things. I'm just saying, I know people.
Okay. I'll admit to you right now, we're doing youth night.
This is being recorded. No.
Welcome back to youth night. Kara. We're going welcome back to youth night. And we had already talked with the pastor and we were going to have it catered and just have the two people from the restaurant serving. So we've changed that with this guideline. We're actually going to have the restaurant individually package every single one that I order, so that I'm just going to hand them a tray with a cover on it, your meal's inside, open it at your table, which all the tables will be family tables. So we're distancing everybody while they eat.
I think the more you can do that reduces how much food is touched, how much food is breathed on, how much it's open air while others are breathing in the room, like on those, I think that's where we're focused is the more you do to reduce food being exposed to air, period, is the best at this point.
Okay, that makes sense then.
Yeah.
Because even the pastor had asked me, why did they make it so different for the 3 different categories? And so now I can tell him why too.
Very good. That's what this time is for. So anybody else have a fabulous question just like that for clarification? Because sometimes I would call Michelle and be like, I don't understand, where's this, why? And then she would explain it like that. And I was like, I think you just need to be on this call because you understand. Like, this is my whole new life. Like, I have a whole new skill, apparently. Whole new skill set. I never knew I needed. Okay, anybody else? This is your time. Feel free to jump in because I can't see everybody now that I'm doing the shared screen. So if you're raising your hand, I can't see it. Let me scroll through. Anybody? You have way less questions than the youth pastors had questions. I know. She said there was like tons. Oh my gosh, that was exhausting. Amy Young, not Amy Izell, but Amy, did you have any that after you went through them?
Youngblood, is that how I say your last name? Because children ministers are just, we are just so like on it. They totally get it. That's why.
I wonder, I mean, I felt like maybe some of y'all were just surprised that y'all got an okay. And so now it's like, oh, we have to rethink this. I do, while you're thinking, I wanted to just kind of emphasize a couple of things just that aren't really easy to put in words in terms of guidelines, but for you to understand from the task force point of view, the discussion is, you know, the whole purpose of the task force is to make sure that we're thinking, you know, in terms of the best case and safest way for our churches to continue ministry, but also to be safe. We know that United Methodist churches are the ones that are being the most cautious. We have heard that multiple times in a good way and in a bad way. And quite frankly, as long as our numbers in our churches are not high and we're not getting put on lists, I'm good with that. I'm okay with being that you know, that denomination and that church. What I would caution you on a couple of things, and this is what I've told the youth pastors as they got guidelines a few weeks ago, was one is to remember that while you might have some families, whether they have children or not in your church, be very vocal about how we need to get back in there, and if the kids can go to school, you can go to school. Y'all are all nodding. You've heard this, I know. And you're picturing those families. I get it. Just because they're the loud ones does not mean there are just as many or more people who are not calling you up to say, thank you so much for being cautious. We are so worried. This is one less thing for us to tell my kids no to. And I'm going to tell you, I have a 3-year-old and an 8-year-old. We've chosen to start school online. I am relieved that church is not one of the things right now that I have to say no to. It's one, you know, we're all in the same boat. Nobody's going to church. I'm not being the mean mom. And so just as much as you're hearing the frustration because people want normalcy, there is just as many, and I would say more, they're just more, they're just quieter about, you know, that they feel that this pace is okay. And so please remember that, yes, we have loud mouths, and yes, we have frustrated people, and yes, we have people that don't see why we have to be as careful, but there's a reason, there's data. We look at so much as we are making so many of these decisions. And so it's really okay. These guidelines are not meant to be an indication to say, we think that you should all start back. They are guidelines strictly because we know that there are some churches that do feel that pressure. We know there are some churches that are small enough that can do this very safely already. We also know that there are churches that are not prepared and will not be for a long time because of either their size or because of their positivity rate that they're seeing in their counties. And so please understand that Bishop Mueller is very much in favor of being cautious, of going slow. You are not going to get a phone call from your pastor is not going to get a phone call saying, I can't believe you're not back in church. We are here to back you. Melinda's a lot nicer than I am about this. And so if you need somebody to be a heavy, you just feel free to drop my name at any point. I am over it. I don't care if people agree with me or like me, but if we're being careful and we're being smart, you can just drop my name. I'm fine with that. I'm already the bad guy in a lot of other places. Just make me the bad guy. Melinda can stay the nice person. So please understand that that's what we're here for. That's what these guidelines are about, is to at least give you some help if you really get to that point. But this is not an indication of we expect you to be back at any point. Mm-hmm. I think we all know that with the debates that are going around with if school is ready to start or not, and what that looks like, it would be totally fine, in my opinion, if you had a plan that included your start date to be a few weeks after school started. I think that parents, and probably most of you are parents also, are already a little stressed out about the start of school year and what that looks like. And so I think if your focus can be this, how do we support our parents in this anxious time, before you get to, let's add one more thing to make them choose as to whether it's safe or not to bring them back to church. And then if you have your start date at, the end of September kind of thing, then I think you're going to get a pretty good indication pretty soon after that as to what does it really look like when kids come back together in a controlled setting. It's either going to be fine and we're going to see that the mask work and that we can follow the rules and that the kids can follow the rules and that everybody's okay, or we're going to see that this was not a good idea and everybody's going to be online. And I think that will give you your quick answer, and you don't even have to be the bad guy with that because you already had a set date that was later on. And if schools go back online, then that's probably an easy way for you to say, well, if that was the decision, then we probably need to go. And then you're not the bad guy anymore. It wasn't political for you. You didn't have to push that. So that would be my own offering, just in the sense that I think that the next few weeks are going to be really stressful for parents already. And it's really okay to really take time to sit down, to process what it's going to look like, to go over a plan with your relaunch team, to get all your stuff passed with your board of trustees, and to take some time for this. Just because you have guidelines doesn't mean it has to start Sunday. The last thing that I want to make sure that you hear from me is, as you plan whatever, if you are going to be back in person, please, please, please keep in mind that there will be students that are not safe to come back, whether it's their own immune system, whether they live with someone with their immune system is compromised, any of those pieces. And so however you plan things, if it will leave out a child, it is not time to do that. That is not what ministry is about. And so if you have to make the sacrifice of in-person for a few more weeks in order to be inclusive, or you have to make sure that whatever you plan in person is either offered online or an equivalent is that.
Equivalent.
That's
good.
what we have to do.
Yes.
This is not a time in which, it's one of those things where I think at the beginning of all this, we kind of thought that we just had to read the book and then translate it to virtual. We just had to translate it into whatever. Right now we're at the point of like just rewriting the whole book. Like it doesn't have an equivalent anymore on some of these things. And it's okay to just say, we can't do that right in person. And so we're just stopping that for right now. We're setting it aside and we're going to do something else. We're going to think outside, which I've heard. I mean, obviously y'all are doing incredible things. And so you're capable of that. But it's really okay to think outside of that so that we are not continuing, church is already hard. I think kids are a little bit better about including than youth are, but church can be a really hard place for people to feel accepted anyway. And by no means do what we want to do as we start back is to create anything that would ever make a child or a youth or an adult feel like they're not welcome, feel like they can't be a part based on their decisions or their health or their needs. And so please prayerfully consider those pieces as you get really excited about being in person too. And I mean, I want normalcy too, but I want to be able to be healthy in normalcy when we get there. So that's my 2 cents. I will also say for your vacation Bible school piece, I was telling Melinda this. I know VBS at home was not great for everybody. I know that was just frustrating across the board. But I also want you to know, and this is particularly to my people, Cindy and Christy, this was the first year my kids have ever participated in a vacation Bible school, because my husband and I work full time. And so the way that it all worked, we couldn't get our kids there every day. And I didn't want to do the like split up kind of days. And so I know that this is hard, but there's also some really bright pieces in this. And the fact that my kids got to participate and do what everybody else was doing with their church family for the first time was a really big deal for our family. And so there are bright spots in all of this. And so just keep your head up. We're going to get this. We're going to figure it out. The building is just a building. Yeah. God is way bigger than that. And we're going to get there. It's really frustrating. And you can cry in the meantime, but we're going to get there.
Thank you, Michelle. And Amy had something she wanted to share. Amy?
Yeah, I just wanted to add on to that, I don't know if you noticed, but when we first started this, I had to mute because I had to take a call from the bishop. And he was sharing that he had just gotten out of a meeting with the governor. He's on the task force with Governor Hutchison for reopening the state. And he wanted to just let me know that this was the first time that they have shifted from the importance of business and keeping businesses going, and the economy, to this is really becoming a safety problem. And this was the very first meeting of where they were talking about, masking and shutting down, and that we've got to get a handle on this because things are not going as they had hoped that it would, things are just getting worse.
Praise
So
Jesus. Yeah.
yes.
Sorry,
So,
I wasn't muted still. Sorry.
yeah, no, that's okay. So I wanted to just add on to what Michelle was saying, that Bishop is totally hands-on. And when your churches are getting the communication about the COVID guidelines and the things like this, that he's not just pulling them out of the sky. That there is a lot of prayer, a lot of discernment, a lot of research, a lot of meetings going on with physicians, with attorneys, with all kinds of folks. And so I just wanted you to know that y'all are in really, really, really good hands, because we're very lucky that we have someone, our leader is on the task force, working to protect our people and therefore protect our churches. And so I just wanted to share that with y'all.
Thank you, Amy. And I'm going to do a little transition that talks about something Michelle said, and back to you in just a minute. So a point that Michelle brought up today when we were discussing is, please remember that the guidelines that you see here are for volunteer situations. They are recommendations for volunteers. There's a different set for paid childcare, DHS, when you're in a childcare center. And so they go by very different guidelines because they are paid people. They're very strict, and they have big ways that they're doing business in order to open, which yesterday I didn't realize, but I was welcomed onto a call with some phenomenally talented people up in Northwest Arkansas who hear a need of the church to provide a safe space for families who both have to work. Where do their elementary kids go? And so Amy pulled me in on this, and it was a gift. And she's going to share something that she's been working on and preparing with these amazing people. So Miss Amy.
Thank you, Melinda. And it's always a joy to work with you on any kind of project. So thank you. So yes, this came about from people that are on the Bishop's task force for the safe reopening of churches for the Arkansas United Methodist Churches. And we were discussing, when we were working on guidelines for children's ministry, updated daycare guidelines, the updated youth, as well as campus, this particular crisis was identified. And that is the fact that we have families who are looking at potentially one parent, if it is a two-parent home, someone's going to have to quit their job in order to stay home with the child that is not able to go to school because they need to do hybrid learning. Or they're looking at having to, they live with a grandparent, and the grandparent is, highly susceptible for COVID, and sending their child to school puts them at even a higher risk. And this is not for everywhere. This is, I'm very aware that there are some counties with very low numbers, and everybody is sending their kids back to school, and it's, they're following precautions, and it will be great. But in some areas where the numbers are up, and in some school districts, they're not offering full-time school. They're offering part-time where they're offering hybrid 2 days a week or just, going online, and then families are going, okay, but who's going to stay home with the kids to make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to be doing? Does that make sense? Lots of people are facing this. And so what some churches have stepped up to do, and they were just doing this individually until we kind of pulled everybody together, they are creating ministries to meet the needs of families in their community that are facing these obstacles. And so there are a few churches that are going to be offering weekday ministry for school-age children, where they will have monitors and they will be able to offer safe space, smaller than school classrooms, but where they will have good Wi-Fi, and they will be able to monitor the kids, keep them on task as far as doing their online studies and things like that. And there are also other churches that are working with local elementary schools that are identifying students who are at risk for not coming back to school because they live with a great-grandmother, or they live with an aunt, or they live with, whatever the situation may be, but someone in their family is going through cancer or whatever that makes them immunocompromised. And so there are churches that are doing different things, whether it is setting up a feeding program for kids that will not be able to attend school and eat at school, to setting up the full-time weekday ministry to where they are opening their doors for children to come if they cannot go to school. And so therefore parents can not have to quit their job, not have to sell their house, not have to, do whatever. The children's education will not be at risk. So we are, I have gathered some of these leaders of these ministries, and we are going to have an open, we're going to do it in a webinar format, but we're going to have an open forum next Wednesday at 1:00 that I would love for y'all to join if you are interested in if this is a need for your community, if this is a need for families in your churches. And it may not be, and if it's not, I'm so grateful. But if it is, and you are interested in, some different opportunities, different options that you might be able to offer, parents and children in your community, I would invite you to join us next Wednesday at 1:00. And I don't have the Zoom link yet because anyway, but it'll be on a Facebook event, and Melinda will also send it out.
Oh, yeah.
But that's my push. That's my share. I just wanted to invite you all, because the more people that you have to collaborate and share ideas and pray for each other, the better we can do. And I loved the fact that when we were discussing this with Bishop, he said, this is our Wesley heritage. This is what the people of the church did in the early days when there was a problem. They just dropped everything to fix it. And he said that is what we're doing, is that we are just going, you know what, we gotta figure something out. And so anyway, I loved that. I loved that thought of thinking that we are doing what the founders of our Methodism did. So anyway, thank you all for letting me be a part of this today.
Well, thank you, Amy. And then Michelle, Wilkin or Moore, did you want to share about Equip?
Yes. I just want to make sure you guys know about a quote event coming up. Every year we have what's called Equip it's intended for youth workers for training. Every other year we offer training, and then the other years we offer it as a Sabbath time and do more of a reflection. This year was supposed to be a Sabbath time. We were doing an overnight retreat, lots of deep listening, all that good stuff. Obviously, we're not going to be doing that. And so instead, our resource team has developed it into a self-led Sabbath time. And so now it's called Equip Sabbath in September. So basically we're going to encourage people to register. It's still free, but you register in order to download kind of a kit to plan your Sabbath. It's a checklist for how to plan a Sabbath, what you're going to do, how you're going to commit, how you're going to hold yourself accountable. And then also lots of links to that get you to places that are resources for Sabbath time. Like if you want to learn how to do breathing exercises, if you want to learn how to do grounding techniques, if you want to learn basic yoga, if you want to learn about different pieces to meditate and things like that, and lots of other resources. And so since that's not necessarily a youth worker piece, we're going to encourage that anybody and everybody, because by this point we all need a Sabbath. Yep, and so we hope that you guys will also be a part of that. Registration will open this Saturday, August 1st. It'll be on the Facebook page. Melinda has all the information, and it'll go out in y'all's newsletter and on the Facebook page there too. But like I said, all you do is register so that you can have access to the checklist, and to there will be a community Facebook group through the month of August and September to ask questions, to share ideas, to share pictures of what you're doing. If you want to ask about, I really want to do this piece in particular. Have you done that before? That kind of stuff. So you'll have access to that. And then, like I said, it'll just run through September 30th. And we just hope that lots of different people, whether you are children's, youth, both, clergy, everything in between, can participate and just hold each other accountable to taking that time apart. So yeah. I'm also posting a link to a really great scripture and mindfulness calendar that Amy Shores, who works with Methodist Family Health and Pastoral Care, makes for our youth pastors to use with their youth every day, every month. But it's also a great resource for you and for your older, maybe if you're tween groups. And so you can easily find that, but it's a great resource to pass along to them. And then I'm done.
Okay, thank you. And I just really encouraged Michelle to share that, and I appreciate like inviting our children's ministers, because so many of you, as we just saw, everybody had great ideas. It's blurring the days. What day is it? I don't even know. You don't even know what you're doing, where you're doing it, because you are, learning iMovie, or you are getting in the church van and doing. It's hard to have a start and stop when you're working from home, or you're working an entirely different job than what you previously did. So I had a sweet children's minister call me 2 days ago, and say, I went on vacation and it didn't even, we went to the mountains and just as a family, and it didn't feel like a vacation because my phone just kept going and I kept getting emails and I couldn't relax. And I don't want that for any of you. So Sabbath is important, and I want to encourage all of you to take that time. And if it feels like another job to do to sign up, I don't want that to be a job either, but take that time for yourself and be encouraged. And no one's losing their job, because everybody is just working their tails off to do ministry different and creatively. So keep that in mind as well. I think either today or tomorrow, I think I have it completed. Your August newsletter will be coming out, and in that you'll see some good supporting ideas from Crystal Taylor. Has a sacred creating sacred space video that will be on there that is brilliant and awesome, that I would encourage you. A colleague from Michigan shared with me how to do backpack blessings in a time of COVID-19 when I can't touch my children. How do I do that? And so that is in your August newsletter, and along with the guidelines and a few other fabulous things that hopefully are helpful. I want to also take this time, when you have these brilliant ideas that you just shared, send them to, if I don't see them, my only outlet right now, because I can't come trotting into your church and visit with you. And I know so many other people were I'm coming to your church. I'm not coming to check on how you're doing it. I'm coming to take your good ideas, because I feel a huge part of my job is to share Laura's great idea with Chandra, or Pam's great idea with Darlene. Like, I don't want any of you making more work for yourselves than you need. And everybody's good idea can take on and spin it into your own ministry. So know that, please don't ever go, oh, Melinda won't want to know that. No, I totally do. Like, I totally want to know, because you're all brilliant and you're all gifted. So I'm going to leave this with a blessing on you. So are you ready? Here's your blessing. Father God, you are amazing and powerful. And oh, you've given us the Holy Spirit in our lives right now. Help us listen to the Spirit. Help it guide us in our ministry, in our creativity. Empower us and strengthen us. Lord, thank you for your Spirit among us. And thank you for these amazing men and women in ministry. In your name we pray always. Amen. All right, my friends, go be amazing. Thank you.